John Streamer Products, W600. We're going to show you how to set a Biocide Timer and show you what those prompts mean. So, in here, basically the Biocide Timer is just a relay. It just comes on and off whenever you want to. You can set this for your single or your super sensitive biocides. So, what you need to do, go into your outputs, okay? Because basically we're talking about a relay. Number 4 is already set up as a Biocide Timer. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to turn it off, because you go down to the bottom of the mode where it says mode. I'm going to shut it off just in case I've been in here playing around. I'm going to turn it to manual. That way I can make sure and wipe everything out. Now I'm going to show you how to set. Usually you come in here, it says manual. You'll hit your button, come all the way down to mode. Make sure you go to mode. And then you want to pick on, off, on, off. It pans down, bleed, feed, flow timer, so that's not it. Biocide Timer. Go ahead and select that. Hit the check. Give it a second. There we go. Hit your maintenance button. So first things first, make sure your handoff auto setting is an auto. Okay? If you don't turn it to auto, it's never going to do anything. Still an auto. Event number 1, 2, event 3, and basically what they're talking about here. Events are cycles where you want the pump to come on, or incidents that you want it to pump. Okay, so it isn't a weekly, it isn't a bi-weekly, it isn't a monthly, it isn't a daily timer until you go into those things and you activate them. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to set 2 of them. I'm going to set the event timer, and first thing it's going to ask me is repetition. So I'm going to make this a daily timer. So I'm going to come back, okay, and it's going to ask me next, when do I want it to start? And this is a daily. Every day it's going to come on at, and it's a military clock, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. And I want it to come on for, move it over to 5 minutes. So now every day at 10 o'clock, this one will come on for 5 minutes. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do in that same one, I'm going to show you what the difference is when I'll talk about the weekly one. So you can see back here on your repetition, I'm going to pick weekly. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to give you now a day. Okay, so every day, let's say on every Wednesday, I'm going to come on at start time, let's say 12 o'clock, and these are military clocks. I'm going to feed for 10 minutes. Okay, very easy. So that's one. Now you can come to your second one. You can see that event number 1 is now on weekly. I can come to event number 2 and do a daily one. Daily, start time, set it up for 10 o'clock, duration of 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to come back to the menu. So I've got one event that's a weekly event on Wednesday, and then every day it comes on there. Now, what if you want to do a bi-weekly or even a monthly? So I'm going to go to event number 3, pick the repetition that says 1 week, every 2 weeks, or every month. And what I'm going to show you are every 4 weeks. So not necessarily every month, but it's pretty close. So now the one thing that'll come up is it's going to ask you what week. Okay, so if I want to come in here every week, now it'll ask me, well, this event is going to happen on week 1, week 2, or week 3, or week 4. So it does give you that 7-day span. I'm going to say on week 2, Tuesday, I want to come on at 1600 hours or 4 o'clock, and I want to stay on for 30 minutes. Very good. So now we've answered all our questions. We'll come back to the main meal. You see that we have main menu. You can see that we have week 1. Event number 1 is weekly. Event number 2 is a daily. Event number 3 is a weekly, or a 4 weekly. And you do get 10 events. You can switch them around, max them around, do whatever you want with them. That you can do a pre-bleed. Bleed is on R1 is what it's telling us here. You can set those to whatever you want. That you want to do a pre-bleed before you go ahead and do your Biocide addition. Very nice. You can either set it for time here, or you can set it to bleed down to 1500 microsiemen. Okay? You do make sure that it has the connectivity set for the connectivity reading, like that. Bleed lockout, you want to, once you do a bleed, and you want to lock it out and make sure everything's fine, you can lock it out for 30 minutes. Date last missed disabled. So if you have your flow switch is off and it doesn't do this Biocide, you can enable it and then it won't pay attention to that. Make sure your interlock is on, your D1 for your flow switch. You don't want to be feeding your Biocides into a stagnant line like this. Activate with channels. If you want that Biocide to come on also when you do inhibitor feed, you could lock it into R2 or whatever you have your inhibitor set on. I'm going to say go ahead. I had a minimum cycle relay if you want to make it stay on for a certain amount of time based on priming. Biocides especially are good off gassing if you want to make sure that it comes on and pumps for an hour or whatever you have there. You can set it. Hand limit time is 10 minutes, which is very nice. Limit timer I love. Walk it, set it to the hand. 10 minutes later it'll shut itself off and it'll switch back to auto. Very nice. Reset the time. It does keep track of total time. And then it's named Biocide Timer, but you can name it whatever you want. Maybe your customer understands it as something else. Biocide Timer. And that Biocide Timer is now set.